You actually can't make this up. You can't make this up, bro. Check this out. September 7th, we get the blood moon. September 9th, we get the 999 portal. And we're going to break that down. September 10th, Charlie Kirk gets shot and dies. Today is 9/11. I promise you, you got to stay to the end of this video. You got to stay to the end of this video. All right? You got to stay to the end of this video. Now, before we get to the nitty gritty of the conversation, which is Charlie Kirk and the conversations around Charlie Kirk, right? We got a lot to break down. First and foremost, if you haven't seen my blood moon video, right? The title is This Blood Moon Changes Everything. I dropped it on the 3rd, okay? I highly recommend y'all go watch that after this. The first thing I say in that video is y'all felt that, right? Y'all felt that shift. There's a bunch of people in the comments who end up agreeing, saying, yes, I thought I was the only one. I felt that shift. What happens is we made an observation from our intuition without any further proof, without any tangible evidence. We went strictly off of our intuition and came to an agreement. First of all, that's powerful. Now, how do we get the confirmation of this observation that we agree on? We turn this way and we look at the events of the world. Now, on your personal journey, you look at what's going on in your life, right? But on the global grand scale, we look at what's going on in the world. That's how we confirm our observations without any actual concrete evidence. This Charlie Kirk situation is all the evidence that you needed if you haven't had the evidence yet, right? There were people in the comments who knew something big was coming. We knew something was happening. We just didn't know what it was. It's right there. All right. Now, before we get to the nitty gritty of the conversation, like I keep saying, we got to break some of these things down. Okay. First and foremost, what is the 999 portal? This is important for y'all to understand before we get into breaking this down. We got to understand this. And here's the article. What is September's 999 portal and why is it significant spiritually? The September 999 portal was seen as a powerful cosmic gateway, symbolizing closure, transformation, and alignment with one's higher purpose. Now, what do we talk about on this channel every Sunday? How the world is just a bunch of stories in the Bible being rehashed over and over again. What does that mean? What is the core of that message? Everything is connected. Okay? Meaning, the reason why it's so easy for us to compare Kendrick Lamar and Drake to everything that's going on in the world is because they wore the markers of what is about to come. Drake represents holding on to old limiting beliefs, old ways of being, and old practices, and not wanting to let them go because the comfort is too much to let it go, right? Kendrick Lamar represents the release, hence Mr. Morale. He represents the release of limiting beliefs, the release of old patterns in order to make room for things that are coming in. Which is why he dominated the battle and he is now dominating the game. And Drake is stuck in purgatory in the same loop, the same narratives every day, the same things that he's trying and missing over and over again, failing every single time he tries. This is because he refuses to move on and let it go and accept why things aren't going the way he wants. This 999 portal is the closure. It's the closure of it. So anything that doesn't push us through the collective consciousness will struggle. Anybody who's holding on to these old beliefs will struggle. Let's keep going. It is time to let go of old habits and incorporate new ones to help us align with our greater purpose. The intention is to break old cycles reflecting on what we have learned and forgive ourselves to step into a new chapter of life. Okay? Often called the angel number 999 or portal number, It is believed to represent a powerful cosmic gateway, guiding people to release old cycles, welcome new beginnings, reflect in past lessons, practice forgiveness, and align with their higher purpose. Okay? That's exactly what's going on here. That's exactly what's going on here. We are moving into a brand new timeline, but a few things have to take place before that happens. Okay? Now I want to give y'all some other significant events that aren't being talked about that happened on the 10th as well. That's not a coincidence. Have y'all heard about what's going on in Nepal? This was published 1251 September 10th, 2025. And by the way, if you don't understand the 999 portal, September 9th, the 9th of September, or September is the 9th month. 2025 added up, the numbers is 9. So 999. But anyway, this is the day after that portal. Gen Z protesters overthrow government in Nepal, vowing revolution is coming. The president has resigned, but the protests show no signs of slowing down. Oh my goodness. So you telling me the day after the 999 portal, it is being reported that there has been a successful revolt, that a president was forced to resign, and that a revolution has been ensued in Nepal. Gen Z protesters in Nepal have overthrown the government and promised that a revolution is coming as riots continue in the South Asian country. Demonstrations began last week after the government confirmed that 26 social media platforms, including WhatsApp, YouTube, and Instagram, had all been banned after failing to meet a deadline to register. Protesters who have identified themselves as Gen Z, we'll talk about that, also claim to have a deep-rooted dissatisfaction with how things are being run in Nepal, and things quickly descended into chaos. Insane, right? The day after this 999 portal, just look at what's going on here. Right? Well, this is an ad. But the day after this 999 portal, they are releasing their government and making way for new transformation. We not done. A lot of people not talking about this either. Poland has triggered Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, after the country reported 19 breaches of its airspace by Russian drones on Wednesday. NATO fighter jets shot down multiple Russian drones that violated Polish airspace during an attack on neighboring Ukraine, marking the first time that the shots were fired by the alliance since the start of the war in Ukraine. Interesting. Now, what is Article 4? The Transatlantic Defense Alliance employs the principle that an attack on one is an attack on all. Article 4 of its treaty states that any member country can formally bring an issue to the attention of NATO's principal decision-making body, the North Atlantic Council, to meet and discuss the next steps with its allies. So Poland is basically saying, Russia had a bunch of drones over our boom boom. We want to do something about this because an attack on us is an attack on everybody. What y'all gonna do? That's essentially what the Article 4 is. This was presented on the 10th as well. The day after the 999 portal. 2 days after the blood moon. Interesting. Are we still, is it still fake deep? I'm just asking. Okay? Now, let's turn our conversation back to Charlie Kirk, okay? We're recognizing our own version of these things in America. Why? Because just like I said earlier, everything is connected, and y'all understand that everything is connected. This is why I'm comfortable having this conversation with y'all in this way, okay? If everything is connected, that means what they're experiencing over there is connected to what's going on in Poland, which is connected to what's going on in America. Okay, Charlie Kirk an extremely influential right-wing influencer, not a political figure, nothing, is gunned down at a rally, right, in front of everybody, and the video is everywhere on social media. Do y'all think that's a coincidence? Absolutely not. This is where we start to realize Charlie Kirk is a marker for what is going on in the future and what's going to happen, right? The day after the 999 portal. Now, this is where we start talking about the harsh truth, okay? This is the harsh truth. The discussion is, should there be remorse for Charlie Kirk? Should there be remorse for him dying? Should we care? Should we feel bad that he passed away? When he's had racist remarks, when everything that he has talked about in the past is essentially centered around discrimination, right? And there's much more things that people say he talked about, but that's what he was mostly known for, okay? Now, of course, there's nuance in every conversation, but that's not what we're here for currently to have. We're talking about what's really going on. Should we have remorse for Charlie Kirk? Y'all want to know what I think? It doesn't matter. Let's remove the political identities for 1 second. You're a Democrat, I get it. Okay, you're a Republican, I get it. You're an independent, I get it. Let's remove the identity and let's just go on a whole human level. On a human level, whether you have remorse for Charlie Kirk or not does not matter. It doesn't matter at all because it doesn't contribute to the actual conversation and what's actually going on. What's actually going on is the powers that be are trying to hijack this timeline. That's what's going on. The powers that be are recognizing the collective consciousness and that we are ascending. People are starting to realize that your skin and all these different things actually don't matter. They do matter when we're talking about from a tribal perspective and taking pride in who you are. Of course. That's why when people say, oh, taking pride in being a black American, there's a whole bunch of discussions about that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you still should respect other tribes. That's the thing. Take pride in your tribe, but respect other tribes. Simple, right? The conversation shouldn't be, should we have remorse for Charlie Kirk? The conversation is, what is to come because Charlie Kirk was shot? When you look around, Republican or right, like extreme right-wing content creators are going viral on social media saying that, oh, there's war, we're blaming this on the liberals, we're blaming this on the left, boom, boom, boom. It sounds like some Matrix agent shit. Like people just saying what, like, you feel what I'm saying? When in reality, if you look at the Republican talking points from the last, from since this whole situation with Palestine became a thing. If you look at the conversations that are being had on the Democratic side that became a thing after this situation, the one thing that the people on the ground can agree on is we don't like how things are being handled. That sounds like somebody we just talked about. That sounds like something we just talked about, y'all. It sounds like Nepal. If you go talk to the younger generation of this country, right? If you go talk to my generation, Generation Z, this is how we feel. This is exactly how we feel. So the conversation being hijacked, and now we're talking about whether we should have remorse for this and whether we should have remorse for that. I don't think that's the grand conversation to be had. I think the grand conversation to be had is what is about to come. Do the people in power know that the power of influencers is much stronger than your average celebrity? Yes, they understand this. And they're gearing up by setting an example of what it looks like, right? When you step out of that line, regardless of what you believe in, if they don't rock with what you're saying, they might come get you. And they want to instill the fear in the people who are really going to say what they believe. Now, does that mean you got to believe in Charlie Kirk? Absolutely not. That's why nuance is important. However, it does set the new precedent for them to start eliminating people. I mean, Trump literally got on it and started talking about targeting liberal and left organizations. And how was he the first one to break this? We're not talking about a political member. We're talking about an influencer. Why was Trump one of the first people to break this news on a national scale? Like the vice president got eliminated or something. That should tell you everything you need to know. They're holding on to the old timeline. We have to break free of the old timeline. That's what's going on here. We control the timeline, and they don't want you to know that. They're panicking. That's why they want you to panic. You want to let's break this down in a way where we talk about on this channel. All the things that you seeing that side do, right? The people in power is the same thing you see Drake doing. He realizes the grip is being loosened, and people are actually becoming conscious and waking up. Because of that, they're doing everything they can to distract, confuse, and instill fear. Sounds like Drake. Distract, confuse, and instill fear. Create a boogeyman that everybody can be in fear of. What Trump is doing is making that the left and the liberal, right? And the Democrat. And that's exactly what the Democrat has been doing to that side. So it's the same exact thing, right? But somewhere in the middle, we start to recognize these things are not working for us. And that's the conversation. The very reason that Huey was so feared, Fred was so feared, is because of their ability to create and organize regardless of what people look like. That's what's going on here, okay? They want to hijack the fact that no matter what you look like, your consciousness is rising. There are black people, white people, Latino people, Asian people on my channel that get in my comments and agree on all the things we're talking about here. People who will get in the comments and say, I know I'm not of the culture, but I resonate with this. That's what this is about, and that's what they don't want the conversation to be. Okay? Charlie Kirk passing away, that's one thing. All right? Whether you think he should have passed or not, it doesn't really matter. That's a personal conversation for you. However, if we're talking about the collective, they're trying to hijack this timeline. Do not lose your footing. Keep your feet on the ground. Stay in your... The further these things go into chaos, the further inward you go. The more the outside of you becomes, the further inside you go. Don't go outside because you see what's going on outside. Go inside. The further, the crazier the outside gets. That's what they don't want. And when you do that, this happens. Gen Z worldwide is going to be the generation that is going to kick off the ultimate shift in this world. That is just the reality. I believe that this generation, my generation, has been put here to really kick this off, to really move this forward. And all the distractions, all the boom boom that they're putting in our face to distract us in America is so it doesn't take place here. Because Gen Z here is built different. That's why people are confused about us. They're confused about our beliefs. They're confused about how we operate. Because this generation is built different. And we are a generation that aligns with principles of the generations that came before us, before the survival got too deep. We are fed up and we're tired of it. Don't let them create, even when we're talking about 9/11, right? How 9/11 was used to create further surveillance in this country, right? Do not let them use this Charlie Kirk situation to push the timeline where they want to push it, which is more control, more fear, more all these different things. Let's push it where we're going to push it. And that means staying firm. Staying firm in where we're at and what our perception is on what's going on. Whether Charlie deserved to die or not, who fucking cares? That's how I feel. Who cares? Who cares if he deserved to die or not? I don't care. He died. Now what? That's the conversation. Because there are people becoming radicalized because this dude is being turned into a martyr. When in reality, there's people on the other side and people on that side and boom, 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 who all believe that this is not working for us. We are getting closer to understanding that. Put down the political identities, put down the boom, 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 and see this shit for what it is. Because at the end of the day, if the Grim Reaper came up to you right now and you got on your knees and it was time to go, what are the first three things you're going to think about? I promise you it's not going to be your political affiliation. You're going to be thinking about the people you should have forgave, the conversations you should have had, the things you should have did, the people you should have hugged. That's what you're going to think about. You know why? Because that's real. Deep down, that's something that humans can't change, no matter how much you go through. We all want that connection. We all want that love. We all want that harmony. But the things that we go through in our life force us to put up these walls and these limiting beliefs. That's what you see when you see people push out discrimination and all this different stuff. That's what you see. Now, stand firm, of course, because we come first. However, understand that they're trying to hijack this timeline because they know we on their ass. I'm telling you. I'm going to make another video about how this aligns with hip hop and how they want to censor hip hop as well, and why it's important to not interact or listen to anything that wants to censor hip hop. Because if hip hop gets censored right now during this time, we're fucked. I'm telling you right now. There has to be, in order for the people in this country to break out, the same thing that they use to control is the same thing that has to be used to unwind. And that's hip hop. We'll talk about that in a different discussion though. Long story short, I want y'all to pay attention, stay grounded, don't get sucked up into these conversations like that. This should he die, that doesn't matter. He died. What now? Because nothing is going to be the same. We already talked about this at the top of the month. All right? Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Did I get all my points across? I think so. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Be grateful that you get to experience this timeline. This is amazing. It's amazing. People are going to die, okay? I don't think it's as many people as people think, but I think people are going to pass. Things are going to be destroyed. That's what needs to happen in order for us to move into the new world. And the new world, there's a fight over our consciousness. You can argue the American people are more programmed than anybody in the world. If you can break through the programming here, you're special. That's how I feel. And that's what we got to do. We got to break through these conversations and really just talk about, are you trying to censor our voice? Are you trying to stop criticism? Are you trying to take away our free speech? And when we look at hip hop and everything we've been talking about this year on this channel, that's what we've been talking about. We don't like Drake because that's what he wants to do. We don't like the powers to be because that's what they want to do. Okay? Get your spirit intact. Get aligned. Release the old things. Talk to your parents. Talk to your people. Hug your people. Have those difficult conversations. Release. Let go. No more limiting beliefs. Work against them. And you're like a cup. Let those things come out of your body so you can refill your cup and we can move into a different direction. Because just like the stories of the Bible are being rehashed in the world, All of these things are a representation of what's going on a grand scale. And collectively, this is the greatest opportunity to shift that. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you're new here, especially if you've been here. Expect more videos. I'm going to catch y'all.